Okay, I took a few minutes to do some nice deep breathing and switched out my poncho for my quilt. It's not like me to need a little blanket, but here we go. Really, what's been on my heart and been prompting me to go forward with this message is I feel like someone needs to hear about how I came to peace with my grandfather's death. And I'll tell you, it took me a little while. My grandpa, first of all, you have to know, my grandpa was one of the most kind, gentle, tender souls I've ever met. When I look back on my life and think about who taught me what unconditional love even looks like, it was my grandparents, my dad, and definitely my grandparents. I can look back now and recognize that I was a pretty precocious child, pretty active, and I really I loved life. I remember just loving life and being so enamored with the world, right? Everything was brand new and it was to be explored and discovered, and I think sometimes in my zest for life, I sometimes I don't see like the people I'm leaving behind, right? My earliest memories have always just been me and my sister and mom and my dad and my grandparents. That was my life. And I mean, that's my earliest memories are in the stroller with my sister and a woman at the park looking at us and saying, "Oh, what cute little girls." I think she calls little girls. I just remember saying, "Oh, are they twins?" And I remember thinking, what are twins? And that was the first time I remember having a conscious thought, which must have been pretty young. But anyways, it's been many years since my grandparents have been gone, and most of my healing journey didn't really start until after my last attempt. But ever since then, like, when I think about love, my grandparents were the perfect example. My grandfather doted on my grandma. They were married for 53 years before he died, and I think I already said he doted on her. He loved her so much. So when I got the call that he died and that it was by suicide, I didn't know what to think, because I mean, grief, shock, all the things you think. But then, like, how do I process that? Because, like, all my experience with suicide and thoughts of suicide were all back to when I was, struggling with mental health issues, when the message is that anyone who tries to commit suicide is so selfish, and how could they think of others, and just so much negativity and like unkind words for individuals who die by suicide. And so for my grandpa to commit suicide, he was the least selfish person I know. Like, I know beyond a shadow of doubt that my grandfather's choice to end his life was about him, but it wasn't about him being selfish. It was him. He was having horrific pain. He was having episodes of horrific pain, so bad that the neighbors across the street could hear him when the pain would kick in. And I know that it was the intense agony of that pain that forced my grandfather into making the decision to end his life, because he knew how much that was traumatizing my grandmother, seeing him in that kind of pain. And he must have been in so much pain. It doesn't matter. He chose to end his life. Whether it was because, maybe it was selfish. Maybe. But I don't believe it was. I believe it was self-love, fear, the pain, unimaginable pain. And I think that because of how he chose to end his life and the circumstances around it, it was a conscious decision that he'd made. And I love my grandfather. And I can't think of him as a selfish person. Which means I had to find the love in what happened. He made a decision, and it was really hard on us, but the pain he must have been in must have been excruciating. And I love him enough to not judge him for the choice he made. I love him enough to be grateful that his pain was ended. And I know that any pain that he caused to anyone else wasn't intentional. It was a natural byproduct of being loved by humans. So when I had that kind of love for him, and it just made me look at choosing to be alive, right? And realizing that before my spirit came here to this earth, I chose to be alive. And I believe every single one of us on this planet chose to be here. We chose to have this human experience. And I am so grateful to be here, to be able to feel these feelings and learn these lessons, and know that this isn't all there is. And I know that because I've had too many personal experiences that have proven to me beyond the shadow of a doubt that there is something after this life. And with that knowledge comes the responsibility to, well, for me, it means then I have to really look at what I believe, and I need to live my life with integrity. I need to put my actions in, or my words into actions. And that's been quite a journey for sure. And I can't wait to share with you guys so many of the things that are going on right now. Life is so great, and I just am meeting so many amazing people, and I can't wait to see where this journey takes us all. Yeah, all of us together.